Hello guys, my name is Miguel, this is Rust the Wash, and on today's video we're gonna start painting Undead in this new series called Dungeonvania. We are gonna tackle this endeavor, painting all kinds of Undead for our games using a very simple and easy technique. This means that if you're a newcomer to the hobby, or if you never painted miniatures, this is gonna be perfect for you. And if you are a veteran and you have plenty of miniatures in your pile of shame, I'm gonna show you the method that I use to get rid of those and put them on the table as soon as possible. Zombies are the chaff of the Undead forces. The first type of creature that an aspiring necromancer always tries to reanimate first is a fresh corpse. Zombies are not physically stronger than they were in life, and they are not very coordinated nor fast compared to the living. But let's get to the painting here. You will need to prepare your minis first. That means that you will have to clean all the mold lines, this is super important, base them, and last but not least, prime them with light color. Painting zombies is relatively easy. Painting zombies in the 90s way is super easy and fun. You and we are gonna use a couple of books in order to inspire ourselves to do this in the Middlehammer way. The first one is obviously the Undead book from 4th edition. In here you can find lots of stories that will inspire you in your journey through the lands of the dead and the forbidden lore necromancy is. The other one that I want you to check out is this one. This book, written by none other than Mike McVeigh, blessed be his name, is the ultimate guide for those of you who want to paint in the 90s style of Warhammer Fantasy. On this video I want to thank two people first and foremost. One of them is Pevita, one of my friends in Spain, who gave me a couple of zombies for my HeroQuest and ended up coming here to Malaysia. And the other one is Dakawag13, whose Instagram, you can check over here, chock full of Rust the Wash goodness. And he sent me these beautiful miniatures from Harlequin / Black Tree Design, which are full of Middlehammer character and charisma. The most important part that we need to get right is the skin. Dead flesh has an appearance that is rather different from healthy living flesh. Choose a color for the undertone. The undertone is the first wash we will give to the skin. A wash is just painting with a very liquid paint. This wash is the one that is gonna set the mood for the whole painting in the skin. For my zombies, I like using greens, light browns, or grays. Contrast sometimes is a little bit too much for this because it has a lot of pigment, so there's a trick. You can either use contrast mixed with a little bit of medium, or you can use Citadel washes, Vallejo washes, or maybe even create a wash mixing medium with a color you like. So what is medium if you are new? Paint without pigment. So it's like a plastic solution that makes the pigment float, and when it dries, it makes it stick to the miniature. It's basically, as I said, paint without color. The more medium you add, the subtler the painting will be. After this, it is time for a second coat with a different color, in this case a flesh color. The options here are the same. You can use a contrast paint, one of the Citadel washes, one of the Vallejo washes, etc, etc. If you made the mistake of making the color too strong, I recommend highlighting with some bone mixed with white. The good thing about this is that it will give a parchment look for the skin that is perfect for zombies. On the other hand, if you are very new to painting miniatures, or if you want to save time, it is better to stick to washes and do your best to avoid overloading the mini with too much color. Once we are done with the skin, now it's time to discuss clothing. Middlehammer miniatures are colorful and bold. I love that because it makes them pop on the table. They fit very well with the aspect of those old games we love at Rust the Wash. Zombies are reanimated corpses, and although some necromancers will probably go through the pain of giving a uniform look to the troops, I think most will believe these are just a tool meant to overwhelm the enemy, and such consideration is out of the question. My advice here is to have as much fun as you can. For me, this translates into checking different uniforms from the Empire or just finding fun combinations of colors. I want them to look like an incoherent mass. I will use different contrast paints to achieve this, making interesting patterns like stripes or quartered uniforms with opposing patterns. Middlehammer Nostalgia is the name of the game. Let's discuss also weapons and armor now. Most zombies are usually equipped with ad hoc weaponry, and we're gonna paint it like that. So if you want to, you can paint this in full rust mode, like I did with my ogres. You can check the link below in the comments. But one of my preferred ways of painting metal that has been neglected is the following. Paint the metals with your color of choice. In my case, I'm going to use Lead Belcher. Then wash with Sepia, and then with Agrax Earthshade. After this dry, highlight the blade and add some chips. Finish it all off with a very watered down orange paint. I like the air paints for this or this FW Taylor Rowney ink. To avoid the edge of the blade, I try to push the pigment around nail heads and areas where rust will usually concentrate. So we have the skin, we have the clothing, we have the weapons. Now it's time to have even more fun, because the details are what make or break a miniature. With zombies you can't go wrong with some extra work for the wounds. I don't like slapping red paint as if blood will be all over the place. Blood clots very fast, becoming brown or black in the process, and it doesn't look fresh for long. Hence, by putting too much red doesn't really work. You can, however, give a red tint using bloodletter or angry red, and you definitely should also use purples and blues to show bruising and darkening of those. Use these in and around the wounds and you're peachy. As before, being subtle here really works for you. You can always revisit anywhere where you feel a little extra color will help. Then the last thing you need to also focus on is painting the eyes, the teeth and the nails. You can paint these with bone or white, wash with a little sepia and then do a last highlight with pure white. For the eyes in my case, I really like using Ethermatic blue because it reminds me of the way the dead looked in Games of Thrones. If you are bold enough, try to paint the pupil inside the eye. Middlehammer shields are very striking, and I love painting those. Undead shields usually came with some skulls and or scripture. There were also some examples of castles, bats, etc. This kind of spooky stuff makes the minis look more vintage and also adds some space to express yourself. I painted my shields in two different ways. The first one was using pure ultramarine blue, and for the other ones I used Slayer orange and then Angron red clear to create this typical Middlehammer red. I then doodled the different designs that I wanted to include on those, and that was it. I love adding these small details to the minis as they will be quite eye-catching, and doing so is such a nice way to make them look like the ones in the Undead book. So now that you know my tricks about painting zombies, would you like to check this video? We will continue visiting the land of the Undead in the next video, so if you haven't done it yet, subscribe to the channel, activate notifications, leave a comment below if you enjoyed the video or if you want to tell me something, and remember, my name is Miguel, this is Rush the Wash, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Un beso, adios.